All right, ladies and gents, welcome to what is most certainly a relegation series. When this group was announced, I looked at the table and I said, well, it's going to be a fight between Dark, BacT, and Draken. Two of those three are going to go down, and that's what I felt. And one player has proved me very, very wrong. Draken, he is likely safe and possibly even moving on to the playoffs. Draken has performed incredibly well here. Dark just shot the boar with the tower. Did you see that? He weakened the boar with the tower, and then he weakened it with the TC, and now he's going to kill underneath the town center. Apologies for my introduction being ruined here. It is normal for players to bring in boars with their scouts on this map because they can just heal up in the castle then. But he also shot it with the tower, and I wonder, is that like a strat to weaken it even more? Dude, like, players just get more and more creative with all their different build orders. But anyways, I don't know if that'll be a good short moment or not later on. Anyways, right now, BacT has 3 wins. The good news for BacT, and for Dark, of course, is they have one more round after this. The bad news for Dark is that Dark has to play Leary after this. BacT already played Leary. BacT already played Yo. He got a win off of Yo. He got a win off of Leary. Actually, no, he didn't get a win off of Yo, excuse me. But the main thing is he's passed them and still has 3 wins. So if he can get a win in this series, a 2-1 or a 3-0, then move on to his final round. You never know. We just looked at the possibilities for these guys, and it's just crazy. Like, BacT could range from 2nd place all the way down to 6th, and Dark was like 3rd place all the way down to 6th as well. So yeah, I hope that introduction did the situation justice here. The one thing for certain, though, I think is the player who loses here will be going down to gold for the next season. And in the red here, we've got BacT, and so it's Mayans for Dark, and Cumins for BacT, and BacT is going to go for a 2TC boom in Feudal. And we saw an incredible game where Doubt had played Valis, and it was what made that so much more exciting. It was in another group, but it's just the fact that wins were needed by Valis there, and Valis was able to pull out the stops and really show the power of the 2TCs against the Chinese even. The Chinese are seen as one of the very best on this map. And so pretty fast feudal age time. We have 7 villagers building the TC. 7 or 8 is what people tend to do, because this TC in feudal does take longer to build than normal TCs. And BacT is even going to add more villagers now. He just wants to complete that TC, spend that food on more vills. Now, the Mayans used to be picked a lot on Regicide Fortress, but you haven't really been seeing people pick them over Bengalis or Chinese, or even civs like maybe Spanish or Turks. But it's still a really good civ for. You can boom up with good economy, and then you can make your Plumed Archer. And I think the Plumed Archer is actually a really, really good unit here. Like, humans aren't really known for having a lot against archers. They have pretty weak skirmishers. Humans would probably want to go, I don't know, maybe something like Paladins, and then Mayans do have Halbs as well. A lot of this comes down to the execution, of course, and the timing, which is so important on this map. I like this, though, from Dark. Dark is already hiding with his king, because the human scout is a bit faster in feudal. You don't want that scout to be able to kill your king. It's unlikely that would ever happen, but it has happened in the past where players have been close to losing there, so... it's crazy that the defending champ is in serious danger of relegation. Yeah, so, just to talk a little bit about that again, and this is a great build order here from Dark, I have to say. Like, everything about this is so clean and well-timed. Look at this. But yeah, so, I want to bring that up. So that's going to be in Group A later on today. Loser of Nikov versus Vinchester is relegated. And again, it's a defending champion Vinchester on the brink of elimination. And I just love it's like 48% chance that he gets 3rd place. 48% chance that he ends up in 6th place. And then there's somehow, I think there's like a 2% chance he ends up in 2nd, which I think would mean he would 3-0 Nikov, and then Nikov would 3-0 Doubt, because Nikov would play Doubt the next day. I think that group would be finished then, something like that. But everything pretty clean and standard so far. I've been impressed, and, Dark, I was already saying that he was going to be relegated. Like, that was at least in my thinking, and he got a 2-1 win off of Draken, and that's where things started to change for him. because wasn't looking great. He got 3-0'd by almost everyone he ran into. And comes in with 2 wins from that series. And if he can just snowball that into a couple more wins here and then maybe a win or 2 against Leary, you never know. And, you know, the wild thing is, and it's a little unfortunate it's all happening so quickly, but Leary also has only played 2 rounds. So, like, we're assuming, and I think it's safe to assume that a player like Leary isn't going to be relegated. But we haven't really seen a ton of Leary, and he lost 1 game in both of his playoff 3s. It wasn't like he 3-0'd at all. So a lot could still happen here. BacT, he's at 38 villagers right now. 2 seconds of TC idle time. This has been a clean build. And the player who came out of retirement for this. And BacT's getting hits. In Castle Age, the Eagle would definitely win the fight. Oh! And now Castle Age is in. Woo! You get 7 base attack on that Eagle in Castle. I think Dark had initially tried to run. And then BacT got on the other side of it to block it off if it were to run. And I think Dark realized, I'm going to lose my Eagle anyways. Let's just fight it off. But that's nice for BacT, because you don't really need Scout HP in order to compete for relics. You just need to be able to snipe the monks. That said, it looks like the starting barracks has produced the Eagle. And, okay, never mind. All is fair. A Dark now with an Eagle. You do start with a barracks on this map, so it's actually kind of nice. We don't really see people even add stables after the barracks with stable civilizations much. But I guess if you don't want to add the stable in your Mesociv, you can just add Eagles. Which, if you're thinking arena style, the players are normally doing, or considering doing anyways. Alright. The 3 TC boom. Now, BacT is going to go for the timing, I believe anyways, that I had talked about in Doubt versus Valis. We also talked about it when Nikov played against ACCM. Nikov went for a different approach. I think what makes this 2 TC boom strong is the resources you have when you get to Castle Age. And you can take a little bit of map control, and then particularly when the castles are always forward on this map, you take that map control, you drop a forward castle, and you go fast Imperial Age. And the absolute key here for Dark is going to be holding that map control with army. So if that castle does go up for BacT, he's probably going to have the stone to place it. He can't place it where he wants to place it, and he would have to maybe sacrifice some space and place it more safely back at home, and it just gives you more time away from the trebuchets. It's kind of awkward for Mayans, though, because like Mayans need that free and easy boom. They can't really... A lot of civs can't really deal with the fast imp that this civ can provide. But actually, I think I'm wrong. I think BacT is going to go for a 3rd TC. And this is what Nikov had done, and I remember I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but he is adding scouts as well, and I suppose if you're going to do this, compete for relics too, it's not a bad approach, and BacT now is going to kill this monk, and just like that, BacT's getting a payoff riding the scouts, and I think Dark was maybe my frame of thinking, and he was thinking, okay, this is going to be a fast imp from him. And Kip checks are in the queue for BacT. Crazy how good BacT just looked. I mean, I know it's only 3 wins, but the guy didn't play the game for like 5 months. He's got, from what I have heard, got a new job. He's got a wife and kids. He took 5 months off, and he came back, and he's playing incredible. And he's in a situation where he could survive. He could end up staying alive in Platinum League for the next season. So happy that he came back. We don't want to lose players, man. We want to keep them motivated, and it sounded like he had his reasons for taking a break again. If you're starting a new job, wife and kids and all that, sometimes he probably had to look himself in the mirror at one point and said, like, you know, I need to, something's got to go here, and maybe I just need a break from age so I can handle my business, whatever that may be. But he's been playing so good, been a legend of the game, been around for a very long time. Longer or as long as a lot of pros, right? So, like, if you think back, BacT was on Tyrant, which was, if you look at Gamer Legion these days, Doubt, Viper, Tato, all those players, that all started off with the Tyrant clan back in the day. And basically, Tyrant hoarded all the talent. So there was Tyrant Legends and there was Tyrant Warlords. It was just the 2 best teams, all Tyrants. Because there was, like, no real competition. There was SY, which is China. That was the real only other competition, but if you weren't from China, you were on Tyrants. There were a lot of players that were on Tyrants, and, you know, like Riot, who's retired now, but like Fire. But what's interesting is Tata wasn't even on as another monk gets sniped. Like, Tata was never on Tyrant back in the day. He eventually came into it, I think, in 2017, 2018. BacT was on Tyrant in like 2012, 2013. He's been around at least a decade, at least at the high level. 72 villagers for him, 66 for Dark, and 4-1 KD. And that's just been BacT sniping monks. He lost his scout, but he's been sniping monks and doing a great job at that, using the kip checks for some control as well. Like your cast, but in the last time, you sound a little bit professional for my taste and don't have enough interaction with chat. Really? So too professional? Oh, we can't have that. That sounds horrible for Age of Empires. House wall continues for BacT here. Let's see if this monk survives. It should. Kip checks have no attack upgrades, but they fire super fast. And, oh, nice blocking there from BacT as well. That was beautiful. And here, though, he's still trying to house wall, and he will lose that. Villager didn't know that there was an eagle there, so now he'll know about that. Looks like it will be one relic for BacT, and potentially more, right? Because he's got this relic over here, assuming he sees it behind his house. He's going to snag this one, too. We have Elite Skirmisher for Dark. I don't love that decision. I would have preferred to see him just make the plumes, to be honest. I think plumes are going to be fine, but I guess Elite Skirm and plume can be potentially even stronger because that bonus damage these skirms do. And I think this is going to surprise BacT. And look at this. BacT is going to now drop a castle where he doesn't want to place it. He wanted to drop it here, I guarantee you. And these plumed archers are out of position right now, trying to stop the walls. If those plumed archers were here, this castle might have even been denied. But Dark, I think a good game so far, right? This TC is a little bit interesting. And you will see the castle now. And the pip checks are just fighting it off. Seemingly fine. A couple villagers have gone down for BacT, but he's on his way to Imp. And so he's kind of gained himself the position that we had talked about before. And so my thing about Elite Skirmisher, guys, at this stage of the game, the big reason that I was against it is because of the cost. It's food and it's wood. And you're spending food and wood, and also like 160 gold for the upgrade. And so you can tell Dark really needs a market right now with these resources. But this imp timing for BacT is super smooth. He just spent wood and gold on his unit. He didn't even get fletching, right? Like, look at the resources that Dark spent on these upgrades. Add that up for me, right? That's like 500 food, 400 gold. That could have been Imperial Age. And so now BacT is adding a Siege Workshop. I wonder if we'll see Onager from him. BacT with just one relic, though. This monk's bringing one back home, though. And this monk is as well. So I think BacT is going to have more villagers, a faster Imperial Age, and he's also going to have more relics. And Dark is on the way to the Imperial Age now. He did finally fix that, and obviously he has a lot of skirmisher upgrades, which can be very good against kip checks. So we'll see exactly how this pans out. But Dark, he might notice that BacT doesn't even have fletching yet. He might be thinking, my opponent might not actually go for this unit. Honestly, it's very deceiving, because the unit still does a lot of damage for a unit without fletching, because of the firing speed. But I doubt that's really something he looked at. I think he saw kip checks, he sees two castles, and he's like, okay, I got to defend from the kip checks right now. Still wild to me that he's not relying on plumed archers. Like, plumed archers, the nice thing is they can be good against kip checks, but they're also doing more damage versus, well, the unit that BacT seems to want to commit to, which is going to be Cavalier. Oh, big mango shot here. Confident play here from Dark. He wants to just micro this down. If it's going to be Onager, you will certainly want to take this out of the picture. And I wonder if he caught a glance at that knight. Just one glance at that would tell him he needs to drop some barracks here. And there's barracks now. It's kind of to the side of his base, which isn't ideal. But it makes sense with this type of economy. Still unable to get relics. There is a neutral gold here. There is a neutral gold here. So to the north and to the east. So keep an eye on that. And BacT opens up with the first trebuchet. And he's going to go for the tower. I do not know why players keep doing this. This bothers me so much. Valis did the same thing, man. Why are we trebbing down one of the 8 towers that are out there? I guess he doesn't want to... if you... BacT, if you lose that treb to skirms, I'm going to scream. Somebody just made a joke about how I'm not professional. You want to see unprofessional? Wait until this treb goes down to Castle Age skirmishers. Repair it. Oh my god, he's keeping it alive. Thank you. Thank you. You saved the people from some horrible ear egg. And he's just going to drop a new castle here. That was on 2 HP at one point. And now the skirms just get completely mopped. BacT was showing Kip check. He was showing castles. Dark just assumed that it was going to be a continuation of Kip checks. And instead it's Cavalier. And now the snowball can start to roll here. And these trebuchets, there's the perfect amount of them. 4 to 5 trebs coming. They're going to melt these castles. And I think Dark is going to really struggle to recover here. He's going for fortified wall, though. I like that move. Anything to buy a couple seconds is great. And he is clicking Halb as well, so he needs to just get the production rolling. But BacT has 4 relics, guys. 4 relics. And, actually, you've got 3 castles now. I think BacT could absolutely just make Kip checks again, right? Just switch up the order. What's your opponent going to do? Your opponent's going to go Halb. I think Cavalier Kip check could be really strong. Also, is that a real stat? 62 on gold for BacT right now? 62? What? I guess so. There's like 5 different gold spots he's on. This guy's going to have Paladin in no time. Also, plate mail armor denied. The blacksmith was on the front, so say goodbye to that upgrade, as now you've got to deal with the Cavalier trying to break in on the side. BacT went from 5 Kip checks, no Cavalier, to 37 Cavalier in like 3 minutes. What is this production from him? This is crazy. Like, it feels like we're looking at they're playing at 2 different speeds right now. BacT's on fast speed, and Dark is on casual speed or something. And that's not a diss to Dark. It's just a compliment here to BacT with Paladin on the way now. A couple Cavalier get in, but I mean, there's just not enough Halberdiers here. At least the barracks are right here. But oh my goodness, BacT is even raiding over here as well. This guy is such a good player. And you know, for Dark, it's looked difficult for him to really hang with the big boys, right? The only player that he got wins off of was Draken, who, well, I mean, Draken has shown himself to be super strong in this group, don't get me wrong. But, you know, Draken hasn't been one of those household names, like MBL, like Leary, like BacT, and then like Yo in the group. Dark's population is still strong, and he's got 43 Halbs now. Just a question of, has he lost too much ground? And by the way, that king is still alive inside of the tower. It was good from Dark to do that. I think if BacT loses this game, it will be because he's not switching into the Kip checks while he's had all this success. Paladin's going to be in 3 seconds. Got to mix in the Kip checks to help out with these Halbs. And there, yeah, Paladin's in. Ballistics is in. Bodcanero's in. Thumb Ring's coming in. And he's got plenty of Kip checks out here. And Kip checks are going to be more than fine against the Halbs. Great opening here from BacT here in this series. Guys, if BacT 3-0s, MBL and BacT play over the next couple days, and that just adds so much spice to that matchup, right? Because MBL only at 3 wins after 2 rounds. But we have a lot of Age of Empires yet to play, of course. These Eagles are going to be elite Eagles in a moment. Even without that, they're able to snipe some trebuchets here. That's going to stall BacT's push. That said, BacT is now getting elite Kip check, and I've talked about it before. Kip check is... it's a cheap unit. It's a cheap and valuable unit in key situations, and I think this is one of those situations that I'd never realized. So, like, there's been many instances where I've seen Kip checks do well, but it didn't really dawn on me how cheap the unit is until I was playing a game once. And it was kind of like this. I fell into a natural state to make Kip checks. And at the end of the game, I watched it back, and I had like 85 of them at one point with like 10 Hussars. I was on 200 pop. It's like, how did I get 85 of a unique unit? It fires that fast. And it's just the cost of it, and the production speed's pretty decent for what it is. So I think like that's the thing that Kip checks about timing to take control. Like early Castle Age, they just bring you a lot of value. And combined with that economy that the humans have, you can do some crazy things. But then Kip check is also about how cheap it is and how easy it is to afford it, especially when you've had like 50 on gold for a long time and you have 4 relics. I don't even know where the 5th one is, to be honest. El Dorado is researching right now in the castle for BacT. For Dark. He will complete the upgrade. So the 20 eagles he has will have 100 HP. Those eagles are going to be maybe his ticket back into this. But BacT still is denying so many golds and stones, and he'll happily just back away here from this castle. Denying that gold still, denying this gold still. Not on that gold, though. And trying to pressure this side, but good job from Dark there with some gates. Now, let's see how these eagles do. I think the worrisome thing here, as, again, these eagles are crazy with 100 HP. But the problematic thing here is you have to not only fight the army, but you have to take out 3 castles. And it just feels like Dark is in a state of trying to stabilize all the time. And he's going to send everything at this, and he might kill the Trebs, but he doesn't have what it takes to be able to push back the castles. Paladin Kipchak is just a crazy combination, and as excited as we get about El Dorado Eagles, we've already seen examples of the Kipchaks chewing up Halbs, and then the Paladins will do a great job against the Eagles. So it's still a problematic scenario. And this castle, you could see what Dark's trying to do. He really needs this gold. He's defended on the other side nicely. Very good work from him there. That castle was just kind of a hope and a dream more than anything. BacT's economy is wild here. He could research Paladin again. Not that you can actually do that. Super duper Paladin upgrade. Yeah, he's just going to steal some of this gold. Why not? I guess if he runs out of gold, he can't make Kipchaks and he can't make Paladins, but his economy just seems perfect to finish the game right now. And again, he's got the 4 relics then as well, and the beauty of having a unit like Kipchak is it's so fast, you can choose when to take the fight, so you never take a bad engagement. All right, Dark's final attempt here maybe at defense. He's starting to mass Trebs to push this. He's actually researched hoardings here, so his castles are going to have quite a bit of HP. But BacT, just like before, just has the Trebs ready. And here he goes, and he's going to have 3 of them. And I think BacT, even if he ends up losing this castle is just further protection for this type of push. He still has castles everywhere else. What a great game from him. Floating thousands in food and not having Siege Rim at this point makes me sad. I get what you're saying. I think Siege Rim would be a helpful addition. But you also have to remember the focus aspect, right? BacT has had immediate follow-ups on Kipchaks and Paladins. He's never been in a bad spot, ever. And, you start to add, 6 or 7 Siege Workshops. You start to look at a couple different things, and then suddenly the push that was going to win you the game doesn't end up winning you the game. He's already going to win this game with this type of push. Consider this T90. I really like Rams. Okay, I've considered it, and I get your point. And Dark. It's not an awful fight right there, right? I mean, the Kipchaks, they're chewing up those Halbs. We do have the Mayan Skirmisher tech coming in. It's pretty crazy tech, actually. The skirmishers are insane. I played a game as Portuguese versus Mayans on Arabia, and when the game ended, we both had over 2,000 kills. I was making Lycav at Champions and, skirmishers. He was only making skirmishers. The Mayan skirmishers were killing my Lycav. It was bad. Ended up getting the W, but I was like, sometimes I get a lot of knowledge about units and how crazy they can be just based on experiencing them, and that was another one. Kind of like the Kipchaks. Sometimes you don't see it. You got to experience it to believe it, But no, I think Dark is finished here in this game. I really think he is. I mean, he's going to lose his Trebs now. This is his only way to push back. He's got so little gold remaining. The Trebs from BacT continue to fire here. And this doesn't mean it's the end for Dark, but it certainly makes it look more bleak for him in Titans League. Again, a player who got promoted up from gold, up against a player who's been at the top for a very long time. And the GGs are called. That was honestly a really good game from BacT. And I initially, I didn't jump out of my seat when I saw the third TC. I've seen a lot of success with the 2 TC faster imp play, but man, that was really good. I think he played this game well. As for Dark, I honestly think the Elite Skirm lost a lot of, gave up a lot of momentum. Again, we had pointed it out in the mid game. He spent so many resources on upgrading those skirms, and then BacT was able to just get the castle up anyways. So maybe like if this castle didn't go up here and the castle had to be back at home because the elite skirms were out there, then maybe it would have been worth it. But it was a very time-consuming upgrade for him. And then BacT is just like shot out of a cannon there when he hit imp. 20,000 gold versus 10,000 gold. 3,900 stone versus 2,800. 3k more food. 3k more wood. I mean, the guy just controlled the entire map. Also did an amazing job in Castle Age sniping monks. Like, it was extremely satisfying to see that. I think he killed like 3 monks with different scouts. 2-to-1 KD. I mean, dude, like if you're BacT after that game and you're looking at the standings, you're like, wait a second. I could do this thing. Let's go. Let's get a 3-0 here. And then who knows what could happen in his final round against MBL. All right, so right now, as it stands, after this series, BacT will have one more series. It'll be against MBL. Dark will have one more series. It'll be against Leary, okay? BacT sits here currently with 4 wins. Dark sits here with 2 wins. I think if Dark loses one more game, like, yeah, he could win 3-0 against Leary, and then maybe there's some crazy things that happen at the end. But if Dark loses one more game in this series, it's really not looking good for him. You would assume that Leary, with some games in hand, is going to take more wins than losses. Because Leary is just that guy. BacT has gone for the Britons here. Fortified clearing, Dark's home map, and then we have the Hindustanis for Dark. And, well, we've seen this map many times before. We had a super entertaining game the other day. It was, the other day, was it yesterday, actually? All the days run together. For those that don't know and are watching in video form, it's just basically every single day there's CAS. And so, in fact, I can tell you, today's currently Thursday. We have 4 or 5 sets tomorrow. I have to decide. And then 4 or 5 sets on Sunday. And then you're like, oh, wow, okay. Group stage is over. We get a break. No. Monday, Tuesday is going to be gold deciders to see who's making the platinum for the next season. And then we get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then it's over. Every single day. Oh, my goodness. Dark is going to come forward super early. He's already stolen 2 pigs. You never see this. And he's stolen this pig as well. And, like, in BacT's position, you're normally just able to push in your deer and go fast castle. And then find your resources later. Dark looking for any advantage he can get. And oh my goodness, this is really interesting. Okay, so obviously this is a wreck, right? This game was played like yesterday or the day before. BacT says, do we have re? Dark says, anything's bugged. BacT says, no. Dark says, then no re, I guess. BacT says, yes, and then laughs. That's what the ones are. And then 14. And I don't know if he actually saw Dark's scout here, but I think BacT realized that he's been lamed, and he's like, are there restarts available? Because tournaments in the past have had restarts, and players would use them if they were lamed. We do not have restarts. We have admin res, which is what Dark was alluding to. So yeah, if your map's bugged, then you absolutely restart it. We allow laming, and if there's any map where you could find all your resources early, it would have been this one here, BacT. And you just didn't do it because you wanted to push those deer in a bit earlier. So BacT will definitely know that, he's had some type of lame here, Dark, because the scout's been around. Also, BacT's getting slightly housed there, and Dark is still just going to chill here. No, Dark's going to take the boar! This is such a long journey. Oh, and it's going back. Okay. Boar didn't cooperate. He didn't quite get it right. Yeah, let's see. It's 300 food heading over to Dark's base. And obviously Dark is going to be... He's got cheaper villagers, and Dark's probably going to be going fast castle as well. And you're taking the pigs or sheep away from Britons. And Britons eat that a little bit faster. Dark's probably not going to be able to get any blocks here, though. I think he should just probably head on home at this point. And BacT he's looking. He might actually find one of his pigs on the way back. Okay, so that certainly shakes things up, because that will affect BacT's fast castle. And I know you're not... Bro. What? Can someone explain that to me? You knew the guy's TC was there. You were there twice. Oh, God. Now BacT is housed. This is such a sloppy game. This game, these guys, they're used to all the pop space from the Regicide Fortress game. This is messy, man. This is super messy. BacT's going to want some revenge, obviously, for everything that's transpired here. And now Dark doesn't have a scout, so he's going to try and kill a villager. And it would be amazing revenge here if you get a villager kill. I think it's worth it. And well done. I mean, funnily enough, that actually just evens out the vill population. Because BacT wasn't making houses, and so he didn't produce a villager for 30 seconds. But Dark doesn't necessarily know that. And now Dark is in the dark because he doesn't have a scout. And you can tell he's just trying to get the walls down. He's worried that maybe BacT is going to go for feudal age pressure here. He's very concerned about things. But yeah, it's been a sloppy game here, guys. They're going to have to pull it together. Normally this game goes late, though. And there is going to be a pig coming on home for BacT. But I don't think it's going to get there in the time that he really would want. He's farming pretty early here, so that could be fine. In terms of the matchup overall, I think it's a pretty even matchup, actually. I think I would slightly prefer the Britons. But the Hindustanis are a bit more... yeah, a bit more flexible, I guess, in how they can play it. But what I want to see is... I want to see elite Ghoulems, elite Longbows, and then champions from the Britons and, like... what would you do, actually? Hussars? You go Hussars as the Hindustanis? Maybe hand cannons? Ghoulem hand cannon versus longbow champion. Who wins? I think longbow champion wins, personally, but that's obviously, you know, canceling out the sides to the equation of this map where you've got relics. You actually have 3 relics on the right side here. Wonder if Dark actually ran into any of that. He did see 3 before his scout died, so that's good. And BacT probably saw the same 3 on his way back. We do see a barracks for Dark, so I think he's thinking about a stable so he could make more scouts. But I'll be honest, not loving his resource balance right now. I don't think his castle age is going to be that great. I do like this. Remember, he didn't push in any deer because he went forward to lame. And BacT didn't have the sheep because he chose to push in the deer. So pros and cons to both situations, of course. A nice adapting here from BacT. Damn, who let me in this tourney, right? I mean, it's one of those situations where you're like, oh, yes, finally, it's so relatable. He's housed again! He's housed again! BacT! I mean, it's one thing for this to happen after you got smashed in the first game and you're just, like, mentally not there. But these are some basic stuff here, man. He's going to go range and blacksmith, and BacT has got to be shaking his head right now. Like, come on, get with it. Resource balance isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be for Dark, by the way. It should be pretty close. He'll go for a market and a stable. It's always tricky on this map, man. Like, where do you make your buildings? Because normally there's gold or stone on the front. You don't want to block it off. You also don't want to necessarily show things. And you have Regicide Fortress. He played so good on Regicide Fortress where you start with all that pop space and hey, maybe wasn't used to making the early houses. But a minute of TC idle time. You could have 2 more villagers. Like, that is really bad. And makes it all the more important, I think, that he killed a villager. Anyway, so Archer Spearman is a classic arena play with the Britons. There's a lot on gold here for BacT, so he's going to probably compete for relics. Sees the relics now. Might be a little worried that Dark will have scouts towards the middle. Dark's actually sending his first scout around this way. So you should actually know, if you're experienced in this map, by the way, that if you see 3 relics on one side, there's only going to be 1 on the other. Because there's 4 relics in the outer ring, and then there's 5 relics in the middle. That's just something to think about. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea to necessarily scout the other side. But I think there's a lot more reason to just go to the middle right now to scout than anything. Particularly because you have a full HP scout if you're Dark. But, I mean, you're going to add a new one. And that new one is still going to have more HP than what BacT has right now. BacT now sees the scout. There's a couple times there where he attacked the wall. There's no strategic benefit to attacking the wall. Like, that doesn't... Oh, man, he's weakened the wall for later. There's no, like, real strategy there. It's more so a dominance effect. And, oh, man, Dark tried to kill a villager here. He's going to lose that. But at the same time, he does kill the scout there from BacT. So I think that's a pretty decent trade. But I don't think he will be happy with losing a full HP scout. And now he's going to lose this scout as well. So suddenly I'm liking BacT's position. BacT might not have his scout in the middle, but there's also not as many scouts for Dark. Dark's going to have to work a little bit harder now to snipe any monks. A second TC here for BacT. I'm really worried he's going to get housed at 40 pop. Like, really concerned. That has been a genuine issue for him this game. So we'll see if he actually ends up making houses. I mean, he's producing out of his monasteries and 2 TCs right now. You got to make some houses here, bro. Hindustanis have super cheap vills, so it's easy for them to produce out of the town centers. Early town centers there. Again, another scout goes around this way for Dark. BacT, make a house. BacT. Dude. This is... This is going to be so frustrating for me. Okay, he's making a house. Okay, thank God. He's got a million other things to look at. Just keeps forgetting the basics. I think the boom will be a little better here for Dark just because of the cheaper vills. But obviously the hope here for BacT is he's going to have relics and also some army control towards the middle. And I'm not sure if I'm completely in love with the scout going around the outside. I'm not sure what benefit that really has brought you. It does seem like Dark is a little angry, though. It's like he's looking for the weak vill from before. Is he going to find it? He's looking. He can't find it. That's, again, very questionable for me. You need your scout control in the middle here, Dark. And this is what that can bring you. Monk's going to go down. That's exactly what you need to be focusing on. I don't know if sniping villagers when you're both producing so many out of TCs makes quite as much sense. The scout just looking around. Monk's like waiting and waiting and waiting. Dark really wants that kill. Dark will not get that kill on that monk. He loops around for another day. But you guys, imagine if he would have had the 2 scouts that he sent into this woodline in the middle. There's the potential to upgrade them, right, to light cap. You've got like 4 or 5 that you always have in the middle, and I think you could have accomplished a lot more. Not to mention Hindustani light cap actually have an anti-archer bonus. I would have really liked the light cap upgrade here. I think they have 1 extra pierce armor or something. Arism, what's up? Says, I missed the start of the stream. Does the loser of this get relegated? Not necessarily, but it's looking especially bad for Dark right now. Dark will have to play Leary in his final round in like 2 days. And Dark currently has 2 wins, and BacT has 4. So it's actually looking promising for BacT that he could maybe survive in the group. But the wild thing is, it's like, okay, if BacT wins this 3-0, Dark probably goes down. Who's the other player that goes down in a group that has Yo, MBL, Leary, BacT, Dark, and Draken? Draken's at 7 wins. So you might look at the table, you're like, okay, well, it's not going to be him. MBL right now has 3 wins. Leary has 4. Now, they have more rounds in hand, but still, it's just crazy to think about, right? BacT has done a great job with his unit control in Castle Age. Castle Age has looked so smooth from him. And he's going to probably get all the relics in the middle if this continues. I mean, maybe not. There's the light cap upgrade for Dark. And he wants to kill the monk. And he won't do so. Monk takes a couple hits to his back, but he's a beast. Look at BacT even making palisades around the woodline. He's concerned light cap are going to loop into his wood eco again. Kind of funny. 53 villagers versus 60, and I should say that Dark's food eco has looked better. He's got 33 farms right now. BacT, he's up to 27. Not bad, obviously, but it's not the greatest either. I think BacT will take being down a few farms to have all the relics from the middle, though. Dark is focusing on the relics on the outer ring, though, and you can see the difference Lightcap has made. That should be a kill. Yeah, look at the difference Lightcap has made. BacT is now going to research Crossbowman. They actually had researched Fletching kind of mid-conversation there, so they started to do more damage. Now Crossbowman, they'll start to do a bit more as well. I think if Lightcap was in early Castle Age and BacT had to invest into those upgrades then, he wouldn't have the town centers or he wouldn't have some eco upgrades. I think the timing is always crucial in these situations. Because now that BacT has the upgrades, in order for things to feel strong again, you need to get armor. I got some stars from Will again. Says T90's never going to give you up, never going to let you down, never going to run around and lame your boar. That's true. I can't lame. I'm really bad at that. It's not a decision. It's just lack of ability, you know? Nice little Rick roll. You call that a boar roll? No, that sounds bad. Ooh, this monk is going to snag this one. This is nice. The plan for Britons to win against Hindustanis. Probably wall the sides and then push the middle heavily with archers and infantry. Because if you think your best answer against infantry as Hindustanis, you probably think not infantry, sorry, archers. You probably think the Hindustanis. What am I talking about? This is why I don't drink coffee. No, you don't think the Hindustanis. You are the Hindustanis, okay? Let's take a deep breath here, self. You think the Ghulams. That's where my brain was going. There's a Lightcap running, by the way. Knows that relic is gone. And yeah, so anywho, I think like champion Arbalest is incredibly strong. And then there's also a timing to it, which is interesting. Come on, old man. You can do it. You can do it. He knows he's been spotted. Toss it forward. There you go. He tossed it forward. That is a long journey for Dark's Monk, but there's no scouts out for BacT. I think BacT can justify abandoning the middle right now. And oh man, how important is this? Dark is going for upgrades, guys, and trying to push the sides, which is a really good idea. He's even brought some villagers this way. But BacT had just got the walls down. It feels like you want to get close here if you're BacT. You don't want to fire from far away because then Dark has a chance to react. Yeah, I would have preferred to see him get really close and then fire. It still does feel like that he can get that relic. But now, Dark is patrolling the middle, and Dark's going to click up to Imp soon. He's got 10 Lightcap on the field. That's a lot of Lightcap. I like it. It didn't really slow down his Imp time that much, because his economy's been so good. I like that a lot. How many relics are on the map? 9. It's more relics than you'll see on any other map in this tournament. Again, 5 in the middle, 4 around the outer ring. It looks like it's going to be 5-4 with BacT having more. Lightcap are going to get in the back here. This is the thing. Like, you would expect someone in BacT's position to be able to deal with it, but you're still asking questions of someone, and they could still break. I think we'll see stone walls. Because I'm not 100% on if you can actually just repair this. Hello? A little confused at the moment. For all we know, that could have been intentionally delayed there. The siege workshop there from Dark. I love this approach from Dark. Middle's going to matter so much, so the outposts are needed. But then you harass on the sides. Ultimately, you're thinking of having to clear up whatever comes in the middle. But vision in the middle, harassing on both sides is really smart. Is there a way to see number of relics / players? Yeah, it's right here. That shows how many relics there are, if that's what you meant. Unless I've toggled to this screen, which I rarely do, it'll always show that information. And kind of funny here, this villager that's been repairing this house is going to be converted. And he's like, huh? Guys, let me through. Let me through. I guess BacT's going to have pikemen here. So realistically, okay, the guy just dies now. He also, like, teleported. Because realistically, the pikemen should clear that. But, oh, man, the Lightcap got in over here at the same time. Wow, that's some good damage. BacT is definitely overwhelmed. Both players also making castles in the middle. Dark's going to have to realize that and make some trebuchets. Pretty eventful stuff here. And the pikeman upgrade is in now, but still damage has been done. Nice job here from Dark. Again, it didn't look very... I don't want to say it didn't actually look good from him in the first game. Just felt like elite skirm investment was awkward, and BacT looked like a beast in the first game. And Dark trying to open things up a little bit more, and we're going to have a massive fight through the middle. And the only thing that Dark is really committing to is light cap. And I actually love it. Look, BacT doesn't have Bodkin Arrow yet. BacT has his pikemen in the back of his base, and what he's scared of here is the Ghoulems, guys. He's thinking that his opponent with these castles is going to go for the Ghoulem, which is anti-archer. Nope. Light cap line's still pretty good against archers, buddy. And, you know, it's always hard when you're in the defensive position to know precisely what is going to be coming your way. You're reacting. You're not able to be as proactive as you would like. This game could be very fast here. I think as long as Dark continues to spam Hussars and trebs these two castles down, the game is his. Because you're after this, you taking out two castles means that you're not just going to be up by 2. You're still going to have stone banked, and you're going to be able to make the 3rd and the 4th as they're trying to catch up on 1 and 2 again. So you'll have those castles to make the Ghoulems if you feel like that's necessary. Wouldn't be a bad time either to maybe even go for chemistry. So if you think you need hand cannons or anything along those lines. But just great job from Dark, and it was almost like what BacT did in the first game, where it was relatively slow, lots of back and forth, and then suddenly, bam, 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 hit you in 3 different spots and push the middle. And problematic now for BacT. There are a lot of techs that Britons have. Like, Warwolf is a crazy technology in Trebors. But I don't know if he's really in a position to be able to afford this right now. And just straight Hussar here from Dark. I mean, Hindustanis keep you guessing. They can do so many different things. Whether it be the Camels, the fully upgraded Hussars, or, of course, their Ghoulems. And, yeah, it was just a pretty simple game for Dark. He did get annoying in the start, and he ended up laming, making life awkward for BacT there. But Dark gets a must-win win in game number 2. I think, honestly, for BacT, I think you just got to wall those sides, right? Like, the fact that units got through here and units got through here is pretty inexcusable. A lot of players are going to pre-house wall that. I guess he did, and he got through anyways. I think he actually got through a palisade gate here because he didn't have the stone gate originally. Letting them through the sides, pretty inexcusable. I think ideally you wall that out and then pressure the middle and are able to prep for things better. But I think he also just got surprised there. And the Hindustani economy is just so smooth. More of every resource except gold collected there for Dark. And obviously he didn't really spend a lot of gold in his army. It was just Hussars, so. All right, so again, I think whoever loses this series, certainly if it's Dark that loses this series, I think that mathematically it is going to be very difficult for him to ever come back and survive. But you know, Dark could win the next one. BacT could win the next one. There's a big swing for either player here. Obviously, they're playing for $40, but they're also playing to stay alive in Titans League Platinum. Yeah, so I don't know if maybe you want to share some of those odds there, Chuck. But it is a possibility now that we're not going to have a 3-0 in this series. And again, both of these two will have sets to play. BacT against MBL, and then Dark against Leary. But it is possible, since this isn't a 3-0, that maybe BacT and Dark will be the two relegated. Maybe the two we're looking at right now end up being relegated because they took a win off of each other. Again, we'll see. But it's a must-win game for both players. Dark playing as the Japanese, and BacT playing as the Lithuanians. Both of these civs are crazy strong on cross. And this is the home map then for BacT. And BacT has done the common thing with the Lithuanians, where you send 4 villagers at the start to wood. You don't need the food right away because you start with so much extra food as the Lithuanians. And this civ is strong on any map where there's water. Strong in general, right? I don't think there's many situations where Lithuanians aren't strong. But when there's water, you can do this, which is going to lead to a much earlier dock. Now, actually, oh, he's not doing it. I saw the blue dot. Something that's interesting is I saw Dark before chop straggler trees with Japanese. I forget who he was up against. I think it was Yo, actually. So he has this build order where he will not make a lumber camp, even if it's cheap with Japanese. He won't do it right away. And he has a build order where he will go for the early dock. And I think he is doing it now. So he doesn't go 6 on sheep, he goes 5. And then he doesn't invest into the lumber camp. He just takes straggler trees until they're all gone. Look at BacT. BacT getting some revenge for the lame in the previous game. We're trying to. But yeah, this is an interesting approach here from Dark. Again, having seen it before, it does mean you make your fishing ships faster. However, the issue I have with it, and I'm not sure which is better or worse, it might end up being the same, but he can't make his third and fourth fishing ship freely because he's going to have to eventually make the lumber camps and wait for wood and come then. So, again, I think it's a preference thing. I would almost need to test it, and I'm sure Dark has tested it, so clearly if he's doing it again, he feels like this is strong. Because you see, BacT already has this dock. He's already making a fishing ship. Normally, you have 2 fishing ships before your opponent has their first with Lithuanians. But with this build, you squeak in 2 fishing ships, and then you've got to get that consistent wood income later. Because the thing is, BacT's always going to have this. That villager's stuck, which he sure really should micro away from. But BacT's always going to have this, so his fishing ship should always keep producing. Do you find it surprising we don't see Persians here ever? I suppose old Persians would be on here all the time, but not now. I think we will see Persians a bit more frequently in the playoff stage where it's best of 5s, because those drafts, you just have more civilizations that are picked, right? I think in a play all 3 where you can pick 5 civs, and there's 2 bans where majority of the bans are used for more closed maps. That's just a player preference thing. I think Persians are just not... They're just not good enough, right? Like, Lithuanians and Japanese are definitely better than them, I feel. Malians, I might even prefer ahead of them. And, you know, that's before you even maybe talk about some other potentials like Byzantines. I think Byzantines is also really strong. The Persians might be my 5th choice. And so you start to see those choices when there's a lot more games played because there's a lot more civs that need to be seen, you know? But in a play all 3, you're not going to see them, I don't think, and... I think the way the Civ is designed, more HP on the TC, more HP on the docks, faster working TC. I think the way the Civ's designed is made for this type of map. But I think that their mid-game just feels a little too stale compared to some of these other Civs. What is that, by the way? Oh, it was the rubble from a palisade wall that used to be there. And interestingly enough, BacT is just completed Loom. Oh, man. Oh, he wants to save this Vill. He's going to lose that villager there, guys. Dang. Dark kills the Dockville. Not as big a deal now. Especially when, again, you've got 4 fishing ships if you're back, and it's only 3 for Dark. This is what I talked about. See how he's on the lumber camp now? And then he just doesn't have the wood? So, anyways, this gets fun because BacT, he might have lost a villager. But he has a villager forward. And he's walling in that gold. Here goes Dark. Dark's like, all right, here we go. Man, BacT took that personally. He lost sheep in the previous game, and he took it personally. Oh, boy. Okay. I mean, it's... Okay, villager even stays there as well. You lay my sheep, I lame your gold. Uh-oh. Oh, my God. Oh, I thought he was going to trap those vills in there. It's getting interesting. The scout's very weak here for Dark. Oh my god. BacT with the quick walls! Uh-oh. Nope, never mind. He's fine. He's so good. He is so freaking good at this. Oh, wait. Oh, god. Oh, no. Well, he killed the scout. Okay, well, he was good. He just didn't finish it. It was still impressive. We'll still applaud him for that. Check this out, though, guys. BacT has a dock going up on the Pond of Dark. And this is the worst possible situation for Dark for 2 reasons. First, you don't have a scout, right? So you can't really scout everything else that's happening, so you don't know what BacT is doing. But the second reason this is awful is because you're spending gold to go man-at-arms. You were late on gold, and so you can't make your fire galley. Like, look, he's going to go 2 docks to defend his fish, but he can't afford a fire galley. This is a really tough spot to be in. BacT obviously saw it the whole way through. So BacT knows there should be militia coming, and he's walling up and adding an archery range. But yeah, even though BacT has lost 2 eco this game, I actually think that he's going to be in the preferred position here. But I could be wrong on that. Great job from Dark to at least notice this. And he's actually bringing the militia this way, which is interesting. We'll see how it plays out. Not sure about bringing the militia, but I mean, hey, if there's no repair villager there, it could certainly change the situation. BacT adding stone walls, actually, for the quick wall, which is Feels unnecessary, actually. It feels like a waste of stone. Dark might not mind seeing that, but obviously the villager will survive. And now BacT will know that the militia are not heading towards his base, that it probably won't be man-at-arms, so he might end up sending these archers forward. Again, this is not something that Dark can see. And Dark's got some weak villagers in that gold, too. Good news for Dark, though, is that he is Japanese, so he's got really tanky fishing ships. And because of 2 docks, even though he was later to the initial production, he actually recovers quite nicely here in his pond, and is probably favorite to end up winning it. A good micro there from Dark. He will kill BacT's fire galley here as well. And he can repair that ship. That was super well done. If I were to expect anything right now, I would expect scouts. Lithuanians go scouts quite frequently. So I think that's probably what Dark is expecting. And Dark's got the dock up on backside. And BacT hasn't seen it. Look, he just checked with a fishing ship. He doesn't see either of them. Oh my goodness. Wow, this is huge. This is going to be a super messy game. Oh my god. Guys, I'm so excited. Everything that could go wrong for both players is about to happen to both of them at the same time. Like, Dark is going to need a tower almost. He has no counter to archers. But then BacT is going to lose all of his fish. So one player should lose villagers, and then the other player should lose fish. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. Let's see. Okay, there's the tower. Oh, God. Dude. Dark, what's stopping you from going to this gold? I guess the heat at the moment. Oh, man. Okay, BacT did lose his scout. Here come the archers. Dark knows the archers are there because he just lost his spearman. Can he force his tower down? I think he can. If Fletching would have been in, he would have lost villagers there. Okay, so he gets a tower up. And here go the archers this way. So you've towered your gold. Can you tower everything else? Meanwhile, all the fishing ships are going down for BacT. BacT probably hates his life because of that. He's like, I checked it. What's going on? Meanwhile, we have fighting on water. I'm laughing because this is going to be so messy. BacT needs to kill these vills. He doesn't see them. For some reason. He must be distracted. He's probably distracted on water here as both players are microing nicely, and BacT is gonna... Wait a second. Boom. But BacT could still kill the fish, and now he's on the wood line too. I think I would prefer BacT's position, honestly. Assuming he kills all these villagers, of course. And we actually have scouts from Dark, so food is something he does have. He doesn't actually have the wood for his own archer range. And, well, you know, a couple scouts could clear up these archers. You never know. Good job from BacT to remain stubborn here after losing his fish. Here go his archers. Dark has 2 scouts on the field. That's not bad. So that could have been worse for him, right? Here come more archers, though, in the group. Food eco is 15 versus 3 right now. Holy crap. Yeah, that food eco looks abysmal for BacT. And I saw Chuck had posted the odds. And the odds are not great for either of them now that they've split 1-1. But obviously, if you lose, you're probably out. So, players are desperate here. And nice job from BacT there as he snipes. But I think, you know, 3 scouts should be able to clear up 3 archers. Unless BacT has spearmen that comes forward with it. Like, the spearman meets up with the archers, it's a different situation. Seems like the spearman wants to run through. This is nice from Dark. To have added fishing ships here is really valuable. And he has the fishing ships here. So he's still got 5 fishing ships. And BacT's going to see that villager and kill the villager and then see the scouts. And then he lost the spearman here, guys. So that again, if that spearman was here, he probably pushes this back. Wasn't able to do so. So sloppy play because of the messy situation in this game. And imagine the difference it would have made if you wouldn't have lost some of these archers here. Now he's doing what he was aiming to do there originally. And then Dark doesn't notice it because he's distracted. And Dark's going to lose all of his scouts. And now Dark still needs defense for that. That's the thing. It's like, you still absolutely need defense for that. And he hasn't added an archer range for skirmishers or anything. So he's got to scramble down a range. Also, his stone's been forward. So, like, if you ever wanted to go for that for defensive towers, which is also an idea, that would have been tough. But, you know, Dark has the lakes, and he's just spamming fishing ships. So even if he's losing vills, he's still got that. And he's not behind BacT and villagers. Somehow. BacT is walled up, which I think is nice for the long term. And then we'll see what BacT's micro looks like here. Dark will be clicking up to the next stage here shortly. And this is where your best damage control is needed if you're Dark. Let's go. Under pressure. I live here now. Sorry. Can't pass. Construction zone. Wow, that was really well played. Look at this, too. He's pulled all the weak villagers away. Saved the weak ones. This does have skirms in... Oh, it doesn't have skirms in Q, actually. I was wrong. Excuse me. But maybe he doesn't even need it at this point. Unless BacT comes over here with something. And if I were BacT, that's exactly where I would go. There he goes. Dude, you still need skirms, Dark. You still need skirms, man. Just like 4 skirms with fletching. You don't even need that much. BacT isn't finished over here, by the way. He's also using the market to click up to the Castle Age. I'm telling you guys, yeah, the Castle Age is going to be able to do wonders for Dark. Yes, he's got the 3 pawns. But he has been so close to losing 5 or 6 villagers, all of Feudal Age. BacT just hasn't been able to find the opportunities. BacT is going to be a little confused. This is going to be a great moment here for Dark. That's so well played. But I think BacT's going to be confused that he doesn't see the villager here and check the north now. And yeah, he does see there's a villager there. And then here, he needs to dive that wood line. Like, he needs to dive the wood line BacT. I think he showed himself there. So this is what I think happened. I think he knows there's a range and is expecting skirms. And he accidentally attacked that building, so he knows that Dark knows that he's there. And he's worried, but Dark didn't actually have anything. And here goes Dark again, making a run for it. Don't tell me he's going to wall himself out of pressure this time, too. Okay, sacrifices 1 villager. That's worth it. Saves the rest of them. And now BacT is on the other side, and he's like, where are all your vills? You should have vills here. He doesn't know how many are right here. Oh my god, he could have killed so much more. Well, with all this being the case, advantage Dark, assuming he doesn't lose these villagers. Oh, this is it. This is it. This is where it all falls apart. Gonna be another one. Look how weak these villagers are. Gonna be another one. Also on water. Dark is losing. Oh my god, this is where it all... Oh, this is so rough. Oh man, and yeah, knights are on the way. But BacT is stabilized a little bit with his economy. Even with no fishing ships, BacT has a shot here. He's still trying to be competitive for the pawns. He doesn't have a single one, but look how many villagers he's killing. The first thing you need if you're BacT is a monastery in the next stage. Monastery is such a must. But it's 34 villagers versus 42 now. Still a big eco lead for Dark because he's got 17 fishing ships. Now, imagine if that happens earlier in the game, right? That type of attack happens a couple minutes ago. I think it's a very different game. Oh my goodness, and there are knights in the woodline for BacT. Huge moment. Wow, Dark was able to get knights there. He had stables! Yo, what a play! What an epic play that is. Holy crap, I was like, how did he get there? He had the stables waiting. I'd seen that he had 7 knights in queue when he made it to castle. And I was thinking, wow, that's a lot from one stable. He's stressed out. No, he had all the other stables too. That might just do it then. If you have that many fishing ships, and then you get similar eco kills on the villagers, that should be your game. No way. I've loved the never say die attitude from the players in this format, man. It's always fighting, and we had an instance in another group just the other day where a player needed to win 2-1, otherwise he was done. He got his 2-1 win. I can't wait to look at the results as well and kind of what this means for both players, but it certainly is not going to bode well for BacT. I think still will look rough for Dark, but it might be one of those situations where Dark's like, I'm taking you down with me, buddy. You're going to get relegated alongside me. We don't know yet, but I can tell you that BacT can't come back in this game. You simply cannot survive without many fishing ships. You certainly against the Japanese that have 17 fishing ships. Dark, I know his base looks pretty random right now with all the little different dots on the minimap, but he's got 2 town centers. He's got monks out already getting relics. He's going to have 2 relics, taking that from the Lithuanians. And his eco transitions are pretty decent here as well. BacT has crossbow, but he's going to have 4 of them. And he's got a monk. And it definitely feels like he's just staring at his screen like, oh, God, what do I do? It's like he knows he's dead. He probably feels the need to counterattack, but you really can't when you have such a small force. Which just allows Dark to get further and further ahead here. Eco KD is 21 to 18. But 17 fishing ships versus 2. It's just crazy. So Dark killed more eco in this game, and he lost, and he added a lot more eco. Great job from Dark, honestly. I think, like, the decision to go 2 docks here was really smart. And the decision to sneak this at the same time was epic. I really think this game comes down to BacT having a window where Dark had no skirmishers for so long and not being able to use it. There were a couple archers wasted, and there were so many opportunities. Oh, he's going to lose all of his monks. It felt to me like there was such a big window there for him to be bold with his archers that he didn't use. But again, we know that Dark was open. We know that Dark didn't have skirms. BacT didn't necessarily know that. And I think those kills that happened on this wood line, I think that could have happened a long time ago. And BacT wasn't able to find it without the fish. Dark dominates with the fish, and Dark wins this game, goes 2-1 win. And this is not the direction I thought the series was going. The storyline that I was saying after the first game was like BacT was going to win 2-1 or 3-0. And remember, it was a little rusty from BacT in game 2, getting housed and whatnot in Dark Age. And then in this particular game, Dark just outplayed him. That's a crazy result for Dark. I genuinely thought that he was finished. And he will now be under pressure. So Dark now goes to 4 wins. He will be under pressure to get a win against Leary. And maybe even needs a 3-0. We'll look at the odds here in a second. BacT also at 4 wins. And he will need wins against MBL. Again, are either of these players favored against MBL or Leary? No. But at least in the case of like Leary's games already in Titans League, he hasn't 3-0'd anybody. Remember, he lost 1 game up against BacT. And then in MBL's case, MBL got 3-0'd by Draken. So if Dark and who is it? BacT. I guess if BacT sees that, BacT might be like, well, if Draken can do it, maybe I can do it too. So the results are going to update. We'll look at that. Excited to see more of these two and see if they can still keep fighting for survival there. But yeah, Dark dominated him. That was just crazy difference with the food eco. Yeah, the forward stables were epic. I think without the forward stables, he still ends up destroying BacT. Like, he's assuming he makes those stables at home, right? He's still going to have so many knights. His economy's still going to be so good, and he's going to dominate. But the forward stables allowed him to hit faster, which was pretty strong. I also, even this, like getting the relic that's right next to BacT's base, putting it in the corner, taking the gold, that was so good. But you know, something that's hard to appreciate on this map sometimes, because we're oftentimes, even though there's a lot on water, we are looking at the middle, but it's just the amount of fishing ships, right? He's got 6 fishing ships here. Up here, he's got 5 fishing ships, and over here, he's got 6 fishing ships. Just super good stuff from him to add the fishing ships amongst everything else.